What's going on, guys? Sorry for the wait. We are back with another in-depth 2025, or should I say modern breakdown of Friday the 13th series. And right now we made it to part 3. I've been blessed to obtain the beautiful box set. As you can see in my past videos, I'm using the Friday the 13th box set, Blu-ray box set. And right now we're at part 3 with the modern twist. And I guess I want to address the short delay. Had a minor little injury, head injury, but I'm back. But let's get going with this, man. I've been thirsty to dive into this, but I couldn't get in front of the camera looking bogus, But here we go. We got so this one, Friday 13 Part 3, was directed by Steve Miner. Got a runtime about 95 minutes, and the release date, I would have to say August 13th, 1982. And I'll give you a quick little historical context for it. I would say probably Friday 13th Part 3 was released at the peak of the early 1980s slasher boom. It's a period ignited largely by the success of Halloween and the original Friday 13th. By 82, the horror audiences had seen a flood of a lot of low-budget slasher films, leading filmmakers to seek the new gimmicks to stand out. And this is where Friday 13th Part 3 comes in. The major innovation here in 82 was they definitely went in on the 3D technology. That was their gimmick that they heavily marketed, because that was in back in the day. Everyone was doing 3D. Well, not everyone, but that was the cool gimmick. Major innovation here was the 3D technology. I would definitely say Part 3 was heavily marketed as the Friday the 13th Part 3 in 3D. I definitely I looked into that, and I saw that they wanted to run with that. I wasn't born at the time, wasn't around, so I didn't get to see the commercials and pushing the 3D. But as you watch the movie, you could definitely tell that 3D was the gimmick they went for. And I think it was it became one of their most financially successful entries in the early years of the franchise. It had to be because of the 3D gimmick, right? But as far as the plot goes, the film picks up immediately right after the events of Part 2, with Jason Jason Voorhees surviving his apparent death, and a new group of young adults, led by the final girl, Chris Higgins, arrive at the Higgins Haven, a lakeside property near Crystal Lake, to relax for the weekend. Jason, now lurking nearby, proceeds to stalk and kill the group one by one. Most notably, in this film, Jason acquires his iconic hockey mask. And this is why I busted this shirt out today, because he finally has the mask. And he steals it. He stole the mask from the prankster of the movie, Shelley, thus solidifying his appearance for all future installments. So upon looking into things with the movie, I read about the technical details and production challenges. I was reading about how the filming in 3D was very difficult, and I guess the cameras were bulky as shit, and just restricted their movement and angles, and I guess it forced them to have longer takes within each shot, so it made the action scenes more harder to choreograph. So I guess I can forgive the movie knowing that too. A lot of those action scenes probably all had to be done in one take, and big fat 3D cameras, waving around their face. But yeah, they had to set up the shots to work in 3D. And which goes into my next point. With Friday 13 Part 3, if you're watching it for the first time, you're gonna see a lot of the moments where they're just doing random things, and they're just poking the camera, or just random moments. It's I don't know, it just makes it fun, because I didn't watch it in 3D recently, but I did a long time ago. Definitely on VHS back in the day. No, actually, no, it was on a DVD version, I want to say, and I watched it in 3D once. And like I said, it's cool in 3D. Soundtrack. I didn't address this before, but I have to address soundtrack. Harry Manfredini. I love his composure for Friday 13th. I just love the strings and the oh man, well, this one had the little disco twist to it with the theme, which was funky. You know, that was cool, I guess. But it was cool for the time, and I like it now. It's cool, it's fun. But in general, it has that, like, when you hear his compositions, like, it just sounds like Friday the 13th. I hear his music in the house movies, and I just think of Friday the 13th. He still puts his own touch on it, but it just has that, just something with those strings. It's just the way those strings hit. Yeah, so I got to give a shout out to Harry, man. That his compositions on those movies are just classic. It fits Friday 13th so perfectly. It gives it its own edge, its own touch, its own feel. That's the one thing people uh fail to mention sometimes. Besides the campy atmosphere that it brings, and Harry Manfredini comes through, man, with the score. It gives it that stamp, that Friday 13th stamp, man. I gotta acknowledge it. And as far as Jason, man, this is obviously this is not our first time seeing Jason in part three. This is where Richard Broker, he portrays Jason for the first time. And then earlier in part two, you got more of like the human, kind of like hillbilly Jason. And this one, they definitely did like the shift towards the almost like the supernatural, unstoppable force version of Jason. And I appreciate that a little bit more. So, gotta acknowledge the practical effects, man. That's my weakness with a lot of these classic movies, man. I miss practical effects. I'm a fan of the cinema secrets, the Tom Savini era, all that makeup and animatronics and just getting things to look realistic or pulling off effects. Those practical effects are just chef's kiss, man. You got to give a shout out to that. But we could talk box office. There's one thing, a lot of little details I never really looked into prior to watching this series again. Currently, Friday 13th grossed approximately 36.7 million domestically. That's a pretty strong showing, especially back in the day for a horror film. And I think the budget was only 2.3 mil, so that's pretty sick. Because horror movies were very niche. They still are, but they're a lot more mainstream now. But back then, it was really niche. It was definitely underground. You're competing with a lot of Steven Spielberg movies and shit back in the day. So to hit that is pretty dope. And like I said, shout out to the 3D gimmick, man. That carried hard. And I got shocked when I seen that. I was like, oh shit, okay, all right. Yeah, so key points of this movie really quick before I give it my score and my overall thoughts in 2025. This is the first appearance of part three, is the first appearance of the hockey mask, in which essentially becomes the symbol of Jason Voorhees. And you gotta appreciate the movie for that. And you have it paved the way, believe it or not, this movie paved the way for horror in 3D. Paved the way for Jaws 3D, which came out after. Paved the way for Amityville 3D, which also came out after in '83. And I got to give props to Friday 13th Part 3 for that one. That's they're following the 80s trend of 3D, and then horror. They let their horror movie. They made sure to make it happen, and they worked hard. Those long takes, those action sequences, and little 3D gags poking the screen. Yeah, that's sick, man. But as far as 2025, I definitely feel like it's a product of its time. It says a little bit of slow pace, but I still give it props. Like, when it might start off a little slow, and it's reliant on the 3D gimmick throughout the slowness. So I guess that's what keeps it entertaining. But man, it's a key turning point for the franchise at this point in the movie. And this is where Jason became his true horror icon. And you get to see it in a horror 3D showcase as well. And honestly, when the movie picks up, it turns up, man. I just love the way these movies, well, I don't love the way they're slow, but when it kicks off, man, it really kicks off. And Higgins Haven, It definitely kicked off, man. But I definitely recommend. It's appreciated with knowledge of its context, and if you can watch it in 3D, I definitely recommend watching it in 3D in today's world, to understand the impact of what's going on, because it's gonna look funny. I'm not gonna lie, it's gonna look pretty cheesy, pretty corny, but like I said, I know how to put on my nostalgia goggles and appreciate certain things. So it's not a turn off. It's more fun. I laugh like, oh god, okay. When a rat's just running towards the screen, and it's like, all right, you know, 3D. But overall, man, I have to say, Friday 13th Part 3 is how to man, I probably would have to give it out of 10, man. I'd have to give Friday 13th, I'd have to say, due to its goofiness and the 3D gimmick in today's world, it loses some points a little bit, but it's not enough to take it away. I still think Friday 13th Part 3 is an important movie to watch if you're watching this franchise. So at the end of the day, for its innovation for 82 standards and what they pulled off and its entertainment value, I definitely could give it 8 out of 10 for sure. 8 out of 10 for sure. Friday 13th Part 3. I definitely recommend watching it in 2023. Like I said, give yourself a little context and a little knowledge on it before you jump in. If you could watch it in 3D, please watch it in 3D. You'll enjoy it even more. You'll probably give it a higher score. But man, like I said, guys, sorry for the wait. I had a little injury, which is why I have the shades on. I'm still healing, but I'm still kicking these videos out for you guys, man. I appreciate everyone. I appreciate all the new subs. And also, if you're new here, hit that sub button, hit that like button. I appreciate you. I appreciate your viewership. I'm here just doing it out of love, baby. But at the end of the day, man, I have some more movies up my sleeve, some more franchises up my sleeve, which the next franchise I'm doing, I'm not gonna say it now. I'm gonna just drop it on you guys. I'm gonna definitely drop that very soon, probably when I heal a little bit more. So I'll probably a little bit more spaced out in the videos for now until I heal. But after that, also like to announce I'm gonna do. So I started recording before I started this franchise. I did a tier list, so I'm having a video dropping the end of all this. Tier list before this box set and a tier list after, because it's. But before I watched this box set, I pretty much haven't watched a lot of these movies in years. I've watched a handful consistently over the years, but I'm talking 3, maybe 4 Friday 13s consistently. But the rest of the franchise, no. So I'm kind of treating this as my first time watching it, even though I've seen it and I know a lot about the franchise. But I'm definitely just enjoying it again. And giving you guys my honest input in a modern setting. Like if you showed a younger person that's getting into horror in 2025 or whatever year you're watching this, and just to kind of have a modern understanding of what's going on with the franchise and where we're at. So right now we're at Part 3. I definitely recommend watching Part 3. And like I said, just get a little knowledge on the whole 3D gimmick, so you're not wondering why everyone's aiming at the screen so purposely and weird, and just understand the gimmick. But it's a great movie, and shout out to Harry Friendini, sorry for the score, man. I gotta get a shout out to that. But we're over here at Dark Rewind. Enjoy your company. Check us out. Peace out.